Hello and welcome to this support session for BTEC Performing Arts teachers who will be submitting qualification grades and details for students in summer 2020. My name is Paul Webster and I am the subject advisor for drama and performing arts qualifications at Pearson. The information I'm sharing in this session is correct and up to date on today's date, which is the 21st of May 2020. As an awarding organisation, we have outlined our proposal for BTEC qualifications, and this is subject to approval by Ofqual. The consultation is now closed, and we're waiting for their confirmation to set our plans in stone. We will share with you any new developments and guidance as soon as we can. We put information on our website, it's on all pages at the top, plus I share information through email updates on our communities page on the website, on the subject page for drama and performing arts, and through social media such as Facebook and Twitter. In this session, we are going to be looking at the latest information, an overview of our proposed guidance, and what this means to you as teachers, and how you might collate evidence to determine the unit or component grades and rank orders for your students. In this session, I'm going to cover the main BTEC Performing Arts qualifications, i.e. the TEC Award, the first awards in Performing Arts, plus the 2010 and the 2016 Nationals in Performing Arts. I won't be covering higher nationals. We're going to be releasing guidance on this very soon. For anyone teaching entry 3, level 1 or introductory, the rules are the same as they are for the level 2 and 3 qualifications. But if you are still unsure about what you need to do, you can contact me and I'll share my contact details at the end of this session. Let's begin now with some information that you need to know for all your entry 3 to level 3 BTEC Performing Arts qualifications. There are now 3 key guidance documents that we've released in the last couple of weeks that you should have read or you really need to read now. We've got the Pearson's proposed approach to awarding results in summer 2020 for vocational qualifications. We've got assessment guidance for centres during coronavirus, and we've got the centre assessment grade and rank order guidance, and that was released on Tuesday of this week. These documents are available on our website. On every page, you click COVID-19 update at the top of the page and you follow the link to BTEC grading information and guidance on the right-hand side of the page. We've also sent out links to all centres via exams officers and quality nominees. We'll be sending out new guidance on how to submit your centre assessment grades and rank ordering onto the new system and links to the system itself as soon as we can. This is currently on hold until Ofqual have confirmed the requirements for vocational qualifications, but hopefully this will be in the next few days. It might be tomorrow, it might be Monday or Tuesday. In terms of standards verification, just really to clarify that it's not taking place in this academic year. Next year there will be standards verification again, we hope, if everything goes according to plan. If we have another situation of a lockdown, then we will take that as it comes. We're currently looking into providing greater SV support next year, as there may be some students that you've got who have a deferred grade for their external units or components, and they need to know their external grades in case they want a retake opportunity. So we'll let you know the details of that as soon as we can. In terms of centre assessment grades, if you submit the marks for a component or unit that was either completed this year or due to be completed by 31st of July, and it wasn't standards verified this year, it won't be called for next year. That's the guidance that we have at the moment, that it won't be called for. The units and components that will be verified next year by a standards verifier will be the ones that you're teaching and assessing next year. The new guidance that we released on Tuesday evening provides all the guidance you need in terms of collating the marks and the rank ordering to us. And we'll go into a bit more detail on that very soon. there is, in terms of external assessment units and components, there is no requirement for you to submit your predicted grades for externally assessed units and components to us. We will determine those grades based on a number of different elements, including the centre assessment grades that you submit, the rank ordering of your students, any relevant prior attainment, your centre's previous cohorts, if that's possible, and then looking across the national cohort and statistical information. Students who are partway through a course, e.g. they're in year 1 of a 2-year programme and had exam entries for an external unit or component, will receive a mark in the summer for the external assessment. If the minimum threshold hasn't been achieved on the course, for example, with a TEC award student, if there were no marks submitted for any of the internally assessed components, the external mark will be deferred and won't be released until one of the internal components has been assessed and verified through the SV process next year. In terms of appeals, there will be some form of appeals process for any student or centre unhappy with the marks awarded for external units and components. More information on this to follow once Ofqual have made the final decisions. Again, the details of the appeals process for centre assessment grades is still to be confirmed. Here's a brief overview of where we are now and how we got here. The Secretary of State made the announcement on the 20th of March that there'd be no exams this summer and further details would follow due to the impact of COVID-19 in the UK. So all summer exams cancelled, priority to enable learners to make progress, and there will be a calculated grade issued in August. It's likely that BTEC will be on, as it stands, it's likely to be kind of the 13th of March and the 13th of August and the 20th of August, as would follow with A-level and GCSE, but this is still to be confirmed. Ofqual focused on general qualifications first, and then they looked at vocational, i.e. BTEC. We're still awaiting confirmation of the instructions from them, and that is why our guidance is still a proposal and is not yet confirmed. Here's a summary of the proposed Pearson approach that you're now being asked to implement and which we hope won't be subject to change. This is an overview of the requirements. This table shows what you do and you don't do. So you submit the centre assessment grades for the internal units and components, but you don't send us a rank order of those internally assessed units and components. You don't submit externally assessed unit component marks on Edexcel Online, and you don't rank order just the external units or components. You don't submit to us an overall qualification grade, but you do submit a rank order of students for the programs that they're registered on. So let's look at that in more detail. You've been asked to submit already completed internally assessed unit grades on Edexcel Online. For incomplete internally assessed units, we're also asking centres to submit centre assessment grades for these, and the deadline for this to be completed is by the 5th of June. The centre assessment grades are about what the student would have been most likely to have get if they've taken the assessments for the incomplete units between the 20th of March and the 31st of July. All grades submitted should be interim unit claims. You don't claim for the full award. If your students weren't going to be assessed in a particular unit or component up to the 31st of July, you do not need to enter a centre assessment grade for it. And we will be providing further guidance on the specific ways in which centres will submit this information to us as soon as we can. For externally assessed units and components, we won't be asking for centre assessment grades for these. that were due to be taken this summer, and the results will be calculated for students who are completing, or for those who are in year 10 or year 12 who would have done the external component or unit. Results for non-completing learners will be a calculated grade will be issued, providing the minimum evidence threshold has been met and an entry has already been made. This means a student must have been due to complete at least 25% of the internal assessment, which should include a mandatory unit or component. For students completing this summer, you don't submit your proposed external unit marks to us. If a student has already completed external assessments, for example, Unit 1 in the 2016 BTEC Nationals, we will know the marks they received for these already. If it was a situation where you had a student who'd already completed Unit 1, for example, and they were due to do a retake and you'd made an exam entry for them, then we'll have that information and we will be able to ascertain that they weren't satisfied with that first grade and that a retake was being done because they wanted to improve their grade. So all of that will be taken into consideration when determining the final external unit grade and the qualification grade, if that is appropriate. The rank order is going to be at qualification level. You don't need to submit to us an overall qualification grade. You'll have that information because you're going to need to in order to work out the rank order, but you don't actually submit that to us. You will need to submit a single rank order for all your students registered on each BTEC program code. So if, for example, you're doing BTEC Nationals and you are delivering different sizes of the qualification in your centre, then you will do a separate rank order for each of those. You won't lump them all in together. The window to submit the rank order is between the 1st and the 19th of June. So just to repeat, you don't rank order the grades for internally assessed or externally assessed components. The rank order needs to include both completing, so typically year 11 and 13 students, and non-completing students, so typically years 10 and 12. The statistical data generated through ranking supports a holistic view of students' achievement and performance, as well as supporting the generation of external assessment outcomes where required. We'd like to assure you that the rank order submitted for Year 1 learners will not carry forward into their second year when they progress. The rank ordering of the overall qualification is for graded qualifications only. So for any pass-only qualifications, rank ordering is not required. So that is in reference to some of our Entry 3 and Level 1 Performing Arts courses. We will conduct checks and statistical standardization of centre assessment grades submitted, and this will include historical performance at centre level and historical performance at overall level. This is the system we're using that has been developed to support students who are completing this year and those who are continuing on to next year. Let's look a little deeper now at what you need to do for internally assessed units and providing centre assessment grades. So in addition to the completed units, you can submit centre assessment grades for units that were due to be completed up to the 31st of July. You can see from the table here that you shouldn't attempt to submit a centre assessment grade for any unit assessment that was due to be completed after the 31st of July, i.e. in the autumn term. So for instance, if you were going to set an assignment that started in May and was completed in November, this should not be included in the centre assessment grades that you submit. Assessments that are due to be completed in the next academic year do not fall into that period covered by what is known as the Extraordinary Regulatory Framework, or ERF, which is something that Ofqual have devised for all students who will be certificating this summer. And the ERF is March to July. It may be that Ofqual want to or have to extend the ERF, but if that is the case, if they do extend it into the next academic year, this is something that we will communicate with you. We do appreciate the challenge that this may create when teaching couldn't continue, so we're still trying to support, hoping to support you with information following on from the consultation. So we've got a couple of questions here that I will just answer now. I think my colleague Tim is also helping out as well, but there's one here about that if a student has done, if Year 10 students have done component 1 and they've finished it, and what they then need to do, and whether they're included in the rank order, and yes, they will need to be included in the overall qualification rank order. And there are some questions coming in now about the details of this. So what I'll do is, as we go through the presentation, there's a lot of these questions that are already being answered. One question just came through then, which was about, do we rank dance and drama students together? And as I said at the top of the presentation, if they are registered on different program codes, it means that you will rank them separately, you'll rank them discreetly. So say, for example, if you're running the TEC Award in dance and the TEC Award in performing arts, there will be two separate, discrete ranked orders. If you are doing the nationals and one of the smaller sizes where they're not on, they're not different program codes, then they will all be put in together. What I would suggest you do is you go onto Edexcel Online and you have a look at the different program codes that you offer within your centre, and you use those as the guidance in terms of how you create the rank orders. So in terms of internally assessed units, we will, for completed units, you submit the unit grade that the learner has achieved. For incomplete units, you submit the most likely grade they would have achieved if they completed the assessment, including a resubmission this summer. For units not yet started, the most likely grade the learner would have achieved if they had completed the assessment, including a resubmission this summer. So that's what we need from you. Evidence that you might want to consider for incomplete units. So these are some ideas that you have probably already implemented already, but it's here for your support. That potentially any external assessment or examination results that the students may have done, the results of any mock assessments that you may have done with them in that particular unit or component, or in other units or components, any other records of relevant learner performance over the course of their BTEC programme, including non-assessed learning activities, enrichment activities and related programmes. Your professional judgment is going to be paramount in this, and reflecting on how previous cohorts have performed too. But again, we'll go a bit into a bit more detail on that shortly. In terms of considering evidence for units that hadn't yet started, again, it's about looking at other work that they have done, any examples of work in progress, any formative assessment that you may have done, any workshops and classes that they've taken part in, and your professional judgment, making, potentially making comparisons with how previous students have done in that same unit. So there's a number of ways in which you can do it. In terms of the process for centre assessment grades and submitting to us, if you refer to your BTEC assessment plan to identify which learners and units the centre assessment grades will apply to, learners may have several completed units at this stage, and final grades for these should be submitted as soon as possible and by the 5th of June. For any incomplete units that were due to be assessed between the 20th of March and 31st of July, or where resubmission opportunities have been planned for this time, we are asking all teachers and assessors to make a fair and objective judgment of the grade they believe the learner would most likely have achieved. The head of department or the lead internal verifier should review and endorse the centre assessment grades. The head of centre confirms the centre assessment grades, and then they are submitted via Edexcel Online or EDI by the 5th of June. Let's now have a look at the externally assessed units. So completing learners will receive a calculated grade. Non-completed learners, i.e. those in year 10 or 12 of a 2-year course, can receive a calculated grade if they've registered to take the external assessment this summer and they've completed at least 25% of the internal assessment, which should include a mandatory unit or component. And the calculated grade for the external unit or component, if they've met that threshold, will be released in summer. As I said before, if the minimum percentage isn't met, then they will get a deferred calculated grade for that external unit or component, meaning that they'll receive it once sufficient internal assessment has been completed. So that is going to be reliant on the work that you do with them in terms of internal assessment and getting its standards verified. So these are the examples of the thresholds. So for the TEC award, it's at least one internally assessed component. For the first award, it's either one, it's one of the skills units, so the 60 GLH units, or unit 2, which is 30 GLH. And for the first certificate, again, it's one of the skills units, or it's 2 of the 30 GLH units. One of them would be unit 2. And then for the first certificate, extended certificate, sorry, it would be 2 60 GLH units or 3 30 GLH. And for the first diploma, it would be 2 60 GLH or 4 of the 30 GLH units. For the RQF Nationals, it's at least one mandatory unit in the 180, 360 or 510, and in the 720 it would be at least 2 units. One is a mandatory, and in the 1080 it's at least 3 units, one of which is one of the mandatories. Now let's have a look at rank ordering and how we can get through this and support you as best we possibly can. You'll need to provide a rank order at qualification level for your entire cohort on each programme, including those not completing this year, e.g. first year learners on a 2-year programme. This is for each BTEC programme code. So as I said before, if you have a look on Edexcel Online, you'll be able to see how they've been registered and what the programme codes are. Your rank order should number all your students on each BTEC programme code from 1, the highest achieving, downwards. Tied rankings are not allowed, i.e. there must not be any ties or equal rankings in your rank order. When creating the rank order, you might want to consider the following things: the unit grades that they have achieved, using the overall BTEC qualifications point score to aid the rank order, So, you know, breaking it down into points rather than it just being about the grades of distinction, merit, pass, etc. Review of the unit achievement at criterion level, e.g. a merit unit achievement at MMMD is less strong in comparison to that at MDDD. So if you are at that stage where lots of your students have all got the same unit or component grade, is to then delve a little deeper into how they did for each criteria. If you have done any evaluative analysis work about how they have explained things or how they evaluate things, then potentially that is one way of being able to differentiate them as well. You can consider the quality and consistency of your students' performances and the assessment evidence. And if they haven't done any actual assessments yet, and they were due to before July, it's looking at the type of work that you did with them in workshops and classes, just kind of formative, informal notes that you've made yourself on how they're doing in terms of aptitude and attitude, and being able to pick things up and lead and make decisions, etc. Qualitative teacher knowledge of related activities and programs. So if you're working with others about discussing and comparing your findings with them of any other information that you know about the student from their other studies, potentially you could even include that. There's a number of ways in which you can ascertain the rank order, but I'm in a moment I'm going to go into a bit more detail on that. In terms of non-completing students, again, this is a bit more difficult for you to do because you are trying to consider where they are in comparison with the ones who are completing, so the year 11s or year 10s. But again, you know, it's having a look at what they have done and looking at any information that you have on them and the work that you've done with them potentially between September and March this year. So again, that idea of looking at workshops and classes and informal work that you've done with them to determine where they are at, considering a comparison between the students that are in your year 11 or year 13, where they were at that stage last year, so looking at the type of work they've done and then making that comparison with your year 10s and 12s to go, yeah, they're pretty similar, or my year 10s are far more advanced than the year 11s. And then you're thinking, well, okay, this ranking is going to be potentially that the year 10s are going to be higher because they're just a stronger group than the year 11s. And if that is the case, then so be it. That's what you're going to put forward. So what you're going to do is you're going to identify the learners on each qualification, and you're going to rank order them in order of expected outcome. So with learner 1 being the most secure, learner 2 being the second most secure, and so on through until the least secure. So the head of department or whoever it is should who is going to be doing this to oversee it should review and verify the ranking across the subject area with the teachers and assessors. The head of centre reviews and verifies the rank order, and then it's submitted to us between the 1st and 19th of June. So here's an example. So you're doing a single list of learners registered on a programme, each with a unique rank number in order of expected outcome, where 1 is the most secure. So that first example there is for year 11s and 13s, and there are 10 students across those two groups. And what you need to do is you work out the qualification grades. So obviously for your year 13s, that's a lot clearer because they've done the majority of the units already. And for your year 11s, for your I'm going to start again. If you with your year 11 or year 13s, there are 10 of them, and you are going to determine what they got, what they are likely to get overall. So for example, there are 10 students in your Tech Award Performing Arts group, and 4 of them you think will end up with a level 2 distinction star. There are 2 students that you think will end up with a level 2 distinction. There are 3 that you think will be a level 2 merit, and there is 1 that you think will be a level 2 pass. So you've worked them out, and then you are going to do the same with your year 10s. So there are 10 in that group, and you're going to work out that 3 are going to get the level 2 distinction star, 3 will get the level 2 distinction, 3 will get the level 2 merit, etc. And what you will then do is you will then rank those groups of students. So you've got the 4 from year 11 with level 2 distinction stars, and you've got the 3 in year 10 with level 2 distinction stars, and so they will become 7, and there is a group of 7 who are all going to get level 2 distinction stars. And what you will do is rank those 7 1 to 7. So that will be a mix of your year 10 and year 11 students. And then you will move to the next available grade. So just going back to that slide, there were 2 who were on the level 2 distinction and from year 11, and there were 3 who were on the level 2 distinction from year 10. So the next available grade is the level 2 distinction, and those 5 students will be ranked numbers 8 to 12. So I hope that makes sense. That's basically how you're going to do it, that with the 20 students that are on those courses altogether, that's how the ranking will work out. I know that this is a difficult task that we're asking you to do for your students who are in years who are non-completing, so who are in years 10 to 12. And I can see that there's a lot of you asking the same question now, which is why we are doing this. So I will now attempt to explain. It's the reason why we're doing it is because we are trying to be as fair as possible as we can to all students. And this isn't the GCSE or A-level, where there is a summative assessment in the final year, where it's far more straightforward in being able to determine what the final qualification grade will be. The BTEC model, as you can see just from the types of questions that are coming through now, the types of questions that I've been asked recently, is that everybody is doing very different things. Some people do component 3 in year 9, some do it in year 10, some do it in year 11. There are some teachers who will do components 1 and 2 of the Tech Award in year 10. There are some that haven't done anything and they only start it in the component 1 in May and do the first assessment of it in November. So we don't have the same level playing field that we do with GCSE and A-level. And because of this, we are using a different model. We're using a statistical modeling process to calculate unit level outcomes. And in order to standardize the centre assessment grades that you're going to submit, we need a rank order. We're doing it because we are trying to support those who aren't completing and those who are completing. We're trying to get as much of a balance as we possibly can. So I said before that the ranking for non-completers will not carry over into year 2. It's not going to be held against them, and it's not going to be held against you as teachers. So it means basically that your students may not achieve as well as you're now going to predict, or they might exceed the positioning that you're going to put into the rank order. We're not asking you to submit a qualification grade. We're not asking you to do anything else apart from do this rank order, which will allow our system to generate results at a unit level rather than a qualification level. I know that there will be some of you who are still worried about this, and you know, we can talk to you about it in further detail, but as it currently stands, this is the process that we're using, and we've done enough kind of analysis and statistical information about this process using different examples to see that it is the fairest possible system that we could come up with. In terms of specific scenarios and what you should do, I thought this would be a good idea. Let's see how this goes. I've put together some examples of students on the same program code and pathway, and just to say that this is what you will now need to do if you're in this situation, and hopefully this covers the majority of you who are with us today. So the first example is that your year 10s, they completed either component 1 or component 2 before March, and then component 1 or 2 will be completed in autumn, and your year 11s have completed all components before March, and you did component 3 exam entries. They were working on that before lockdown. So in this example, what you'll do is you will submit that component 1 or 2 mark on Edexcel Online, and you will rank order both years together. In example 2, year 10, component 1 completed before March and component due to be completed before July. And the year 11s, all components completed before March, with the component 3 supposed to be taking place. And in this example, the year 10, you put the component 1 mark onto Edexcel Online. You will do the same for component 2. They'll be submitted as centre assessment grade, and you will rank order both years together. In example 3, your year 10s completed component 1 or component 2 before March, and you had a component 3 exam entry as well. They were going to complete component 3 in year 10, and your year 10s have completed component 1. Component due was due to be completed before July, and they were going to do component 3. And in this example, the year 10s would for them, you would put the C1 or C2 mark on Edexcel Online. They will get the component 3 grade in summer. Your year 11s, you would put the component 1 and 2 marks through on Edexcel Online as centre assessment grades, and you would rank order both years. In example 4, year 10 haven't done any assessments at all. Your year 11s have completed components 1 and 2 and we're doing component 3, and in that example you would put your year 11 grades onto Edexcel Online and centre assessment grades and submit those to us, and you would rank order your year 11 only. In example 5, you've got year 10 exam entries for component 3, but no component 1 or 2 assessment has been completed or wasn't due to be completed. Your year 11s have completed components 1 and 2 and had component 3 entries, and in that instance the year 10s will get a deferred mark for component 3, and it will be released when the standards verifier looks at either component 1 or 2 assessment that you've done, but you will need to rank order both years because of your year 10 component 3 entry. If you have any year 9 students who have registered and haven't done any assessments, you don't need to include them in any Edexcel Online activity, any centre assessment grades, or any rank ordering. If you have year 9 students who are registered and have done assessments, you need to put the unit marks onto Edexcel Online, and you need to include them as well in the rank ordering, but I don't think that is the case in very many centres. Here's some examples for the RQF 2016 Nationals. Example 1, again, please check about the programme codes and pathways for this qualification and for your and for the QCF 2010 Nationals as well. The first example we've got here is Year 12's complete unit before March. External entries were made for some of the external units, and the Year 13's completed units before March. Units completed were completed before July, and there were external exam entries. And in this instance, the Year 12 unit grades will be put onto Edexcel Online. They will get the external results in summer. The Year 13s, you'll put the unit details on Edexcel Online, and you will rank order both sets of students in one list. For example 2, Year 12s didn't do any internal assessments before March. They were going to complete some before July. They have some entries for external exams. The Year 13s completed units before March. They were due to complete units before July, and they had external entries. And in this instance, it would be that the Year 12's Edexcel Online units and centre assessment grades, they will get the results if the minimum threshold unit entry, and Year 13s are completed units before March and external entries. And in this case, it would be that the Year 12 have a deferred result for their external assessment, and you need to rank order them all. My sound has gone. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Okay, I'll carry on. I'm sorry, I didn't realise that you couldn't hear me. Okay. Example 3, I'll go back to that one if that's okay. Oh, example 2. Okay, fine. Example 2 was that there are, as you can see on the screen, what this would mean with example 2 is that the Year 12s, you do the centre assessment grades. If they haven't got the minimum threshold with the internal units, the external grades will be deferred until they've done that, until it's been released. And the Year 13s, you would enter the units on Edexcel Online and you would rank order them all. Example 3, they've not done any internal assessments, but they did have an entry for an external unit, and the Year 13s have done all their internal units and have external entries as well. And with this example, the Year 12s will get a deferred result for external assessment, and you need to rank order Year 12s and 13s. In example 4, there are the Year 12s have done no internal or external entries. The Year 13s have completed some units. They were going to complete the rest before July, and they've got their external entries, And in this case, you rank order year 13s only, and you will put the internally assessed unit grades onto Edexcel Online. So in summary, let's have a look at what you need to do now. For internally assessed units, you identify the units and learners eligible for a centre assessment grade. You will provide grades for completed internally assessed units, and you'll prepare centre assessment grades for incomplete internally assessed units. The third step is that your head of department will review and approve the centre assessment grades and pass on to the head of centre to verify, and then you will submit the centre assessment grades by the 5th of June. In terms of the rank order, you'll identify the learners on each BTEC programme. You'll prepare the rank order for your entire cohort on each programme, including first year learners on a 2-year programme, unless, as I said, that they haven't done any assessment at all and weren't due to do any, and then you'll be able to put those students in. You'll be able to put a not applicable indication when we send you the guidance on and the system on how to submit that information. Step 3, heads of department review and approve and pass to the head of centre to verify the rank order, and then you submit the rank order in the window between the 1st to the 19th of June. Here are my contact details. There's many different ways in which you can contact me. You can chat to me on live chat by using the link there, or send an email. You can use that link, or you can go onto the Pearson web page and follow the Contact Us link, select Teachers, and then D for Drama, and then you'll get through to me. You can ask questions or share ideas on our communities page. You can call us, and my number is 0333 016 4141. If you don't get through to me, you'll get through to one of my colleagues. And if you really need to speak to me, then just ask for me. That'll be fine unless I answer it in the first place. You can tweet me at Pearson Perf Arts. And we've got a Facebook page, which is BTEC Performing Arts, sharing best practice. As you know, or the majority of all you know, is that Facebook has been incredibly busy over the past week. And I really don't mind being tagged into things. I will do my best to respond wherever I can. I notice that there are some of you who have taken kind of responsibility for helping each other now, and you know, it's absolutely brilliant, and I can't thank you enough, because there's some of you who do feel really confident with this now, and you can see that there are similar questions coming through and you're helping, and honestly I think you're all being entirely brilliant. And the national Teacher Day yesterday should definitely be extended, so I'm wishing you all well done for the work that you're doing and what we're asking you to do at the moment. So I know that there's been a lot of questions that have come through today, and I think that Tim has answered quite a few of them. If we haven't answered them, please let me know, and we'll be back in touch. Thank you all for joining today. I hope that it's been useful, and I'll see you very soon. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for all your patience, and stay safe. And yes, if a question hasn't been answered, then please just get in touch. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.